Hi, good afternoon. This is Desiree here at the El Paso Chamber. We're on Facebook Live, so as always, as you guys know, we're able to get your questions and go ahead and read them with the experts that we have on hand. Today, we are lucky enough to have Ray Cardenas, the Business Consulting Designs. I'm sorry, he's with Business Consulting Designs, and also El Oliveira with Raymond James. So gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. Well, I know that right now is a pretty stressful time for everybody with what's going on. So do you guys want to just tell us a little bit about what each of your companies does?
Business Designs was created 2 years ago. What it does is actually designs and is focused on entrepreneurs, small business. What we do is we just, we don't assume that our clients know everything, and we just create plans, and that's just process for a client to operate. And part of it is just, from the payroll aspect to the tax planning, and it seemed to work very well. We've been doing business independently for over 11 years. And so we focus in that aspect of consulting, and also with the aspect what is taxation.
So, pardon me. So Raymond James has been around since 1962. We work both nationally and internationally. We're a company that specializes in helping individuals and business owners create the wealth they need, the protection they need for retirement, along with pre-retirement needs and things of that nature. So we're very holistic in our approach. We believe in a long-term, dedicated approach to any sort of financial investing. And on top of that, we're definitely one of the premier companies. We're just worth just shy of $1 trillion. So we're definitely going to be here for quite a while.
Okay, perfect. And are you guys noticing between your clients any sort of panic?
Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you what, like I mentioned earlier, before we went live, I believe we're in the front lines where our clients were, if not the first people to contact right now. And we get to hear that, as far as, the tax implications, the funds, people are closed, they can't operate, or what do they do with their employees? So all those things, they just create it does create chaos and especially the health aspect where, some of those clients, might be infected. And so it's very humbling. And, right now we just kind of have to be in our toes.
So what I've noticed here in El Paso, El Paso is a little bit different from the rest of the United States because we're kind of separated by people geographically. What I'm seeing primarily is based upon last year's great economy and the markets and everything else. Everybody was riding this really nice high wave of euphoria. Well, now as we start going down this wave, I've seen a lot of people who are in denial that what's going on is really going to go on and how it's going to affect them. But denial is the first part of the downward slope. It goes from denial to what Ray is saying, to fear, to panic, to what am I ever going to do about this? So right now I'm seeing a lot of people in denial, and I can tell by the conversations I'm having that I'm okay, I don't need to do anything, life's good. It's like, okay, there's the denial right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing kind of the beginnings of the downward slope.
Yes, and it is a slope, and you've got to go through the whole process. So from denial to fear to panic to despondency, it can be a very quick ride. And on this quick ride down, when fear hits or despondency, a lot of people are going to start shutting off any sort of outside influence, outside advice. They go into a survival mode. And right now, if somebody's out there thinking, I'm okay, I don't need to change anything, that's the denial. And somebody has to be honest with themselves and say, you know what, that's where I am. Maybe I need to go talk to a guy like Ray or a guy like me and see, hey, what can I do?
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into some questions for you, Al. And for all of our viewers, this is a Facebook Live, so any questions that you post, they could be about your personal finances, or if you know anyone who has any questions that would pertain to this that these two gentlemen can help you with, please feel free to post the questions. We'll get it in real time and we'll be able to answer it for you. So Al, let's go ahead and start with you. So can you discuss with our Facebook viewers the investor psychology and what is happening with the stock market as a result of COVID-19?
So what I think people are seeing right now is, if we're going to use an analogy, it's let's say we're in a sailboat. All last year, hey, things were going great, there's smooth seas, and we had no problem going to our destination. But now we're hitting some pretty choppy waters, some really choppy waters. And a lot of people, they want to abandon boat. Or they're thinking, you know what, I don't need to do anything right now. One thing we've got to do is we've got to stay in the boat, we've got to hold the course, and we've got to do the right moves to make sure that we actually get to our destination.
Okay, perfect. So what is the investor psychology?
So a little bit about what I was saying earlier. Investor psychology is always ups and downs. You know, one moment you're on top of the world, the next moment you start going down and you have a little bit of desperation and good things happen and you get back on the top of the world. So it's an up and down very much. And one of the key things I do for any client is I have to be the wedge between their emotions and their money. Because other than that, you might be making rash decisions, uninformed decisions that can have consequences that are going to be long lasting.
Right. So maybe you really want a boat right now, but maybe it's not the best time to buy that boat.
Yeah. So, you know, again, you know, one, you have to really look at your numbers, and Ray's a good numbers guy. Say, hey, you know, why should I be doing? Why can't I be doing?
Okay. So you guys are the two I need to come to when I'm on Amazon at 3 in the morning.
Wait till 8 o'clock, not at 3 o'clock.
Now I'm calling you guys. Get ready for it.
Well, you might get an answer from Al. That's a problem, right? During the morning. We don't know.
All right, Al. So what advice do you have for someone who was planning on retiring this year? I know my sister's a teacher. I'm a former teacher. If anyone was retiring this year, but now their retirement funds have taken a dip due to what we're seeing, what is your advice for them?
I would go see whoever your professional is that you deal with. I would go see that professional. And I would say, hey, this is exactly what my goals are. Your goal should always be tied to a timeline, a specific amount to an event over a period of time. So if you've never sat down with an advisor and actually mapped that out, that's the first thing you got to be doing. So then you take that to whoever your advisor is, whoever your professional is, and say, hey, this is what I want to do. My timeline is now 12 to 24 months out, and this event's taking place. What can I be doing? Because in a professional such as myself or Ray, we do have access to other tools that can either say, hey, we can either hold a course, we have to do a slight shift to the right, to the left, maybe a slight shift up or down. That's actually going to give you a more educated response to what you're going to be doing. But again, bottom line, I go see your professional, whoever it might be, and say, hey, this is what I'm looking at. How is this currently affecting me right now?
So if you are thinking of retirement, it's most important to wait and speak with a financial advisor or whoever your workplace has in that position that could guide you before you make.
So once again, let's say you've only been in a 401k, a 403b, something like that, and you know just there's nobody on the other end of the phone. It's just your HR person. I would at that point I'd go to a financial advisor. I'd go to a CPA, maybe both. Have a conversation like we're doing right now, and say, hey, this is what my goals are. Am I still on track to meet my goals? Okay. And if I'm not on track, what do I have to do? And a guy like me and Ray, we work together all the time, you know, professionally, because our industries are so tight at the hip that he brings certain skill sets, I bring certain skill sets, and together we come to the client and say, hey, this is what we're really looking at.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so a lot of our nonprofits have been hit hard by a loss in revenue due to a lack of being able to host fundraisers. How can nonprofits approach their financial planning to weather through the coronavirus?
So very similar to any small business, very similar to an individual. Even a nonprofit needs to have a professional who's managing their funds, because a nonprofit, again, just like anybody else, like, what are our goals? How much money do we need to bring in per year for a specific task or specific purpose? So if you can't have that money be brought in because of social distancing, what are we doing in the meantime with our investments that we can actually go forward with this, so we can fill the gap? So a gap has to be determined, a current gap and a future gap, and then how do we bridge that gap? And once you bridge that gap, you want to constantly, every year, every quarter, depending on the individual, you need to be strengthening that bridge across that gap.
So essentially just look at what you can do to meet end of year goal with the provisions that are in place.
Correct.
And with all of the grants, the SBA loans, and waived penalties from the IRS, is there any strategy that you normally would not advise, but now, due to what's going on, you would advise?
So I really don't like to get into specific strategies in general, because what a strategy might work well for one person might be the kiss of death for somebody else. So there's no one size fits all, and there never is. So it's one of those parts where maybe what you're doing, you should never have been doing. And maybe what you are doing, you should redouble your efforts going forward. So it's one of those things where we really need to sit down and look at the numbers, look at the timeline. And if at that point we can decide, hey, do we need to go modify a strategy or have a new strategy altogether?
Okay. So when it comes to something like early withdrawals from an IRA or taking on debt in the form of a disaster relief loan, does anything really change from what you would typically advise during this time?
So even during this time, it's kind of have to hold a course. I hate to say it because I don't want to give specific advice or blanket advice to anybody other than go see a professional and make sure you have your goals are really mapped out, that the resources that you're applying to those goals, have they been applied correctly, or do I need to do a slight shift?
Okay.
So once again, there's no pat answer, and these conversations, like going to see a doctor. And you go to see a doctor and say, my elbow hurts. And the guy goes, well, you know what, let's just go ahead and cut it off. It's like, we haven't even done anything. Maybe taking the x-rays, haven't checked. What am I going to do? We can't just cut it off. So again, a little bit more detailed here.
Okay, so it's based on individual standards and what the individual has going on. So there is no one size fits all for how to deal with this.
Correct. The only thing that should be a one size fits all is you should have everybody here, no matter how much money you're making, everybody here deserves professional service from a guy like Ray, from a guy like myself, from whoever you choose. Everybody needs to have that level of expertise to help you out, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all in this boat in El Paso together. We've all got to row in the same direction for the same common goal to get through this and make sure we all cross the finish line together.
So essentially what you're saying is we are family, like the song.
Yep. We're all going to come across together.
Yeah, it's very important that we have our, as a business owners, that we have a group of talent, because of you might have your business lawyers, your tax advisors, your financial advisors, and it turns out that if you as a professional even tell your client, listen, you need to go to a financial advisor, because it turns out, I personally myself find out that I have a client who he has a disability insurance. He sells, he's still open, he sells reduced, and he turns out that he does have an insurance. So there's a lot of things out there that you need to get your A team, so you can have those people to watch your back.
Great. Okay, and one more question for you, Al. Can you discuss any 401ks and your advice for employers or employees when it comes to 401ks?
So before I answer that question, I want to kind of digress a little bit what Ray just said about bringing the A team. So just FYI, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I'm going to go behind the computer, so my apologies. I used to be on an A team. I'm a retired special forces guy. So if you're looking for the A-team guy, bingo, here it is.
Right.
So,
Let's go.
He's back there.
yeah,
All
go
right.
figure. Like, it's like, where's your beard? Where's your tattoos? It's like, yeah, that's days gone past.
My opinion, everyone from special forces on their team.
That is awesome.
Got it. So, anyways, as far as 401ks, my advice is if your company allows you to contribute to a 401k, you should contribute to a 401k. And you should, if they're doing a matching, you should go to that matching level because 401ks are great. They're low cost. They're overseen by a fiduciary, somebody just like myself, and you need to make it part of your financial behaviors. If you're an employer and you don't offer a 401k or a SEP or a simple IRA, you should really consider that for your employees. And the reason I say that is this: eventually, everybody's going to retire, and this is a great way to start. Yeah. Somebody who this is their first job, second job, third job, and you're already starting them down the road for retirement. And it's going to pay dividends in the long run, 30, 40 years later. The other part is we look at a lot of employers, they offer health insurance for their employees. Very, very, very commendable. But it's two sides of the same coin. You've got to have that other part where you're helping this person prepare for his retirement. And it might be something simple at first where this person's only putting in $20, $30, $40, $50 per pay period. But as they get older and more seasoned in their careers, get pay raises, you're going to see how over time that's just snowballed. And you're going to have a really good nest egg down the road. So the sooner you can start, the better. Okay. Same thing, whether you're going to start one contributing or start one for your employees, the sooner the better.
Okay, so whether an employee or an employer, 401ks are good.
2 thumbs up.
It's a very neat way to take care of your team. You know, they're giving you, of course, there's an interchange of time and expertise, but that's kind of taking care of your team on the future, you know. So that's very neat.
That goes back to my point of we are family.
Yeah.
That song. I got a question of what would you buy aggressively right now, gentlemen? Is there anything that you would go out and really put your stock in or stock up on?
So I'm not a stock picker. I really don't recommend picking stocks or picking bonds because you're just like your 12 little kids, you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. And what I'm hearing from that question, and obviously I can't see who asked it, we're starting to go a little bit into the panic phase, right there. So again, you know, I'm not. If I could give somebody the silver bullet, I wouldn't be here giving you this advice. I'd have done that years ago, and I'd be drinking little foo-foo drinks in Tahiti. So there's not a silver bullet that's going to solve all your problems.
No.
Yes. Okay, so do you have anything, Ray, that you would?
I'm sorry, you cut off there. You repeat that?
Just anything that you would really put your money into as of right now?
Oh boy. You know, cash is very important right now, especially if, you know, after the dust settles, you know, we don't know how business is going to start. I know, you know, people are going to be either they're not going to have enough cash. So if you provide a service or if you're in retail, then you want to be able to subsidize if you can qualify or you can get a loan, then you need a lot of that cash for you to continue operating and at some point, you know, get the ball rolling and maintain your employees, especially talent. You don't want to lose a talent, especially, you know, if right now they're at home and you're not going to open in a few more weeks. So cash is important. I think right now moving the cash into your business to get operating, seeing it as an entrepreneur, business owner standpoint, so you can get your feet in, and when it's time to go, you're ready.
Perfect. So to answer the question of our viewer, in the words of Tupac, I believe, cash money is the most important thing as of right now that you guys would advise. Not really particular, not buying stock in anything, not going, but really just saving that money?
Well, that's outside my scope. Al is a professional here from the tax advice, but as far as the business aspect, the cash is right now it's important.
So indeed, Tupac was wise beyond his years, perhaps. Okay, so Ray, let me get to you now. So eligibility for the CARE Act is based on your income, but if you have not filed for your 2019 taxes, that would kind of throw things off. So do you need to do so before the new deadline to qualify for any sort of relief?
Actually, you don't. I've been getting that question quite a bit lately. I have some recommendation by my clients. I learned a lot from my clients. They had a recommendation where a lawyer told them to just file return zeros, but it's not necessarily, because the IRS, what's going to do first, it's going to, if you haven't filed your 2019 yet, it's going to use your 2018 information. So based on your 2018 information, if you're under the threshold, yeah, you're going to receive a deposit. So you don't necessarily need to hurry and go to your tax accountant or tax preparer to file those returns.
Okay, so you don't have to rush to do anything.
No, you don't.
I was saying we don't need to panic.
Don't panic. Plus, you probably your tax preparer is on quarantine, so you don't want to stress them too much.
So if you do go and they do use your 2018 tax returns, and you haven't filed for your 2019 tax returns, and you do qualify for money, when you do file your 2019 tax, this sounds very confusing. You haven't filed for your 2019 tax returns, they use your 2018 returns.
Okay, correct.
When you do eventually file for 2019,
Mm-hmm.
will you have to pay back any of that if your circumstances changed?
Well, it goes both ways. So let's say if the IRS uses your 2018 information and it turns out that you're over the threshold and you don't receive anything, when you file your 2019, if you do qualify in 2020, you'll be able to receive that the payment. And I believe vice versa. If you over the threshold, chances are you might have to return a little bit of money.
Okay, so there is a chance that you would have to return money. What if you don't? What if you made more in 2018 and less in 2019?
Then in 2020, you are going to receive the part of the payment. So, if you make less 2019 and you don't report it into July 15, then you're going to receive the money in 2020.
Okay. So if you have not filed your 1120S but do not have any revenues other than expenses, will you still have to pay a penalty?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
So if you have not filed your 1120S, your 1120s, I'm sorry.
Your 1120s, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, but you do not have any revenues other than expenses, will you still have to pay a penalty?
Well, your 1120S was due in, the extension was, or the return was due on March 15th. So strongly recommend that you have filed that extension because there is a penalty. So after all this happened, all this relief on March, the past March 12th, all the returns that were due on April 15th were automatically, they were extended, right, to July 15th. So if it's an 1120, it was extended, the due date. But if you missed your tax preparer missed that extension for that 1120S small corporation, then yeah, chances are you are going to have a penalty for the 1120S. For the 1120.
Okay, so there is a possibility of.
We'll have to go into detail, see what other forms you have.
Okay, so this.
Depending on which form we're referring.
Okay, so
we have two forms in here. We have the 1120, which that's the corporation, the C Corp, and then we also have the 1120S.
Okay. So it would basically have to be done on a case-by-case basis by someone who's more familiar with your individual taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Another question that we have is, I have made excess elective deferrals to my work-based retirement plan in 2019. Do I have to take those excess deferrals and income out of my retirement plan by a certain date in order to exclude the distributions from income?
April 15th.
April 15th, that's the date.
We have the April 15th.
You have, so if you do not do so by April 15th.
I believe so, that they was not extended for the relief. I'll have to get back to you, but I do know that the April 15th was the day, no later than April 15th.
Okay. And what about, I did not make the required payments for estimated tax in the requested amounts for 2019. Does this relief apply to an estimated tax penalty for 2019?
Well, unfortunately, no. In this case, if you did not send your estimated payments for 19, no, you do not have a relief.
Okay, so it would not qualify.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Does this relief apply to payroll or excise taxes?
Well, it does. There's a couple of things in there. We were talking earlier before we went live, and there's a couple of refundable credits. There's also an advance payment, and there's also an extension for the payroll taxes. So it all depends your situation as an employer or self-employed, and it all depends also what benefits you get, because some of these credits, they're based on if you elect or you request an SBA loan. Some of these credits, you can have both or the other. So that all depends. So you have two options. You can request one of these SBA loans to help you cover the payroll, correct? Potentially, it can be a grant, or if you don't qualify for SBA or you elect not to, then you have the possibility of getting some of the refundable credits. But it's one or the other.
Okay, so it would have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And what about businesses that had a filing due date of May 15th or June 15th? Or any date aside from the April 15th deadline?
The April 15th deadline, that's what got extended, so which is great. That includes the individuals, and that includes the 1120s. But unfortunately, any other return, their May 15th they still haven't extended, so there's no relief on that. And we need to go ahead and follow those on time.
Okay, so those have not been extended. So April 15th is still the date.
So for those that they were not on April 15th, those deadlines, if it's due on May 15th, you do have to file those on May 15th.
Okay.
Any return that was due on April 15th, those were the ones that were extended.
So only the ones that are due April 15th were extended. The rest.
Yes, ma'am. They're still due on time.
Perfect. Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. We're waiting for any questions that we may have, but in the meantime, I just wanted to ask, what advice do you have for your fellow El Pasoan who right now is a small business owner trying to keep calm and make it through? What advice do you have for them based on your expertise and what you guys can offer as far as knowledge?
Well, obviously, like I would say, now, first take care of your health, be responsible for the health of others. It's tough times, and we hear on the news. This is gonna pass. Make sure we get knowledgeable of all the tools that we have. Once we get the ground running, make sure you have the cash. Make sure there's great opportunities after, unfortunately, there's tax benefits that the relief it passed for depreciation. So the incentives are going to be there. So hopefully just, hang tight, like how Elle says, don't panic. Facts are important right now. So just stay fact, get your team. Don't let the information right now, it's key to make a good decision. So
stay informed, stay calm, and stay healthy.
Yes.
What do you have? Fruit drinks?
Well, I would add to a little bit what he's saying. That is, everybody here in El Paso, whether you're an individual or a small business owner, everybody here is a professional. And you're very, very good at what you do as a professional. And if something is outside your area of expertise, go seek a professional before you make a decision.
Okay, perfect. So always don't be afraid to ask for help if you're unsure of what to do.
That's exactly it. You know, I have people come in all the time, and sometimes they just want to use me as a financial sounding board. I'm more than happy to do that for somebody.
Al, I think I might
So I think the chamber, it's what,
a sounding.
sorry to interrupt you. So I think the chamber, that's what, you know, it's the glue that can guide you and give you a bunch of, or direct you to resources that, you know, you can probably start from there if you don't have already a professional on hand, and use your chamber. That's what I would recommend to people.
Perfect. And I mean, we are so glad that we have experts like you guys that are able to come on and help us not just give information to you know, our members, but also to the public. As I had mentioned before, you know, El Paso, you know, especially after the tragedy that we had last year, I think really grown stronger together. So even though I was making a joke about, you know, We Are Family, because that's a great song, but really it is something that I think has been solidified. So I think that having these sort of Facebook live chats where we give people the opportunity to ask questions directly and get in contact with us about specific issues allows them to see that transparency of, you know, we want to help any El Pasoans with any issues that they may have. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on today. We will go ahead and ask for your numbers or your website where people can get in touch with you, and we'll put that on our website. So if you guys want to give us that.
Most definitely.
And we can go ahead and put it in our comment section so that our viewers have access to getting in contact with you guys. And as I said, I will probably be getting in contact with both of you, because I think we formed a deep friendship here. And also I have been on Amazon late at night. A little bit of anxiety. I feel like maybe that would be helpful. So thank you so much for coming on. We're so glad that we had you here. I know you guys are very busy. Please stay healthy and safe, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Samwise.
Thanks. You know, and as I say, one final thing, if I may, and that is for anybody out there who might have a family member or a close friend that is having some sort of problems with their immune system and can't get out of the house, and they need help with picking up groceries or anything like that, please give me a call too, because that's not beneath me to do to help people succeed in this time. I'm more than willing to do that.
That is so nice. Like getting a little teary, actually. Thank you for that. So again, just for our viewers, this is Ray Cardenas with Business Consulting Designs and Al Olivera with Raymond James. We'll be posting their contact information. And please, you know, get in contact with them. We'll have that on our page, and you can message us directly if you need anything. And as Al was just so kind enough to suggest and offer his services, he is willing to help anyone out in El Paso who needs help. And we at the Chamber fully support that, and we as well. We will counter your offer and also offer our services to go help anyone who needs assistance. So what about you, Ray? Huh?
Come in, put him in the spot, but most definitely, we're here to help.
Peer pressure in its best form.
Well, you know what? It's we're here to help people, and that's kind of, you know, we have to. It's a community, and we help each other. We always try to do our best. You know, we're here in our home office, but you know, the phones are ringing, and just trying to lend a hand. And you know, if anyone needs help, just go ahead and you can contact me. I'll put my number right now, and we're there. And it was a great meeting, you guys. Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Likewise.
It's the three musketeers now, all three of us.
Yeah.
We need to put our powers together for the greater good of El Paso. To all of our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. And if you know anyone who needs any further assistance, please don't hesitate to contact us. The information is on this webpage, and I will also give out my personal cell in case you need anything as of right now. And before we can get that posted, it's 915-269-3061. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on with us.